Wop, wop, wop. Mic check. I remember when I was about 12 or 13 when I first watched Hot Fuzz. I watched Shaun of the Dead years and years before, but I was a bit too young to know what the hell was going on. When I first finished Hot Fuzz, I remember thinking that I wanted to make films. I wanted to be just like him. Edgar Wright. I became obsessed with his style, or well, the style of the film. I couldn't stop rewatching it and rewatching it. There's something so perfect about this film. The snappy comedy is immaculate. The foreshadowing is so smart. The cast, the soundtrack is just so perfect. And I never grew up. But for some reason, I never grew up with any like crappy cop films, which this film is a parody on, nor The Wicker Man, which this film is a pastiche of. But that just proves no matter what you're into, Hot Fuzz is just an incredible watch. And it just gets better and better every time you watch it. Every time I watch it, I notice something new about this very packed film production. The attention to detail is just amazing. For Edgar Wright's new film, The Running Man, which is releasing very soon, which is kind of a shame that he is doing another American film. It's also weird that that film is being released in cinemas. I think a week after it being shown in the UK and Europe, which is kind of funny how the American cast members won't even be able to watch it in cinemas unless they're in the UK. His last British film, it was alright. It was a bit too new. It was a bit too new and fresh. It was good. It was good, and I keep changing my mind about this film. It was good. It's just people don't like this film because of how new and fresh it is. I think it's The World's End was his last film, what felt like an Edgar Wright film, which was set in the UK. I just want another film like The World's End. When The World's End must have been about 2010, 2011, 12, one of them. I wanted to rewatch a bunch of his films for this film releasing soon, and rank them what I think is his weakest and his strongest. I kind of spoiled the two ends of the spectrum in this intro already. I don't think there's any bad Edgar Wright films. He means a lot to me, and he's been very influential to me for all my life. I probably wouldn't be into filmmaking education without being introduced to this man. This is the man who got me into filmmaking. And at last place, we have Shaun of the Dead. It's his first film. It's not very good. I'm clearly joking. Last Night in Soho is the last place, unfortunately. Like I said already, it didn't really feel like an Edgar Wright film. Baby Driver had so much DNA of previous Edgar Wright projects, but it feels like Last Night in Soho doesn't try anything new, but at the same time being something completely unseen before. It felt a little generic when comparing to his previous work. Something I love about this film is the cast, though. It's so good. Everything just gives a fantastic and realistic performance, and the tension is like really, really good. This is like the most tense I've ever been watching an Edgar Wright film. The horror is like fantastically done. For his first time writing like serious horror, Hot Fuzz Shaun of the Dead is a horror comedy, but Hot Fuzz had some great horror elements, and you can see when they're done seriously, he can do really, really good horror. Now skip about 20 seconds on if you don't want to hear spoilers, but I don't really care for the end. Oh god. Edgar Wright tried to strike me down just then. Oh my god. I didn't really care for the ending. I thought the amount of tension that was built up, the payoff was just kind of underwhelming. I will either put it in like B or C. I'm not sure yet. Honorable mentions before we move on, that I didn't really make the list because they don't really count, are Dead Right, which was a college film parody on Dirty Harry, which turned into Hot Fuzz exactly a decade afterwards, making Hot Fuzz slightly a remake. Then there's Fistfull of Fingers, which is a very dumb physical comedy film, which I think works quite well. The physical comedy is incredible, but it's maybe not as good as Spaced or Hot Fuzz or Shaun of the Dead, but the physical comedy is fantastic in this film. And then there's the miniseries Spaced, which was his like first big project with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost. The first series is quite slow, but the second series is great. It's just really weird. Experimental comedy on Channel 4. There's the documentary about the Sparks Brothers, which I have not watched because I don't really know anything about the Sparks Brothers other than their collabs with Franz Ferdinand and their most recent collab with Gorillaz. Because this is a documentary, I feel like it would be unfair to rate among his fiction films, although I have heard this one is very well made with a lot of fantastic, weird cameos. Onto the actual list again, at number 6 we have a lovely little film called Baby Driver, which was a step in a completely different direction, but for the most part people loved it, and I loved it too. It experiments with didactic sound and has incredible action choreography, which Marvel would can only just dream about, which was possibly influenced by Hot Fuzz, but this time it's in a serious manner, which makes the action sequences so much more effective. This film was originally a music video Edgar Wright did in the 2000s with Noel Fielding, but it was such a great idea, no wonder he decided to create a full-length film about it, as well as an alleged sequel being in the works. At number 5 we have The World's End, which is the finale of the Cornetto trilogy. Surely there was a lot of pressure on Edgar Wright for trying to make a send-off to already incredible 10 out of 10 films. I don't think it's a shocker that this film wasn't as good as people expected. Especially how Paul came out just a few years before, I think Paul came out just before this film, and so I think either people have seen Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz and was expecting big from this film, or they've seen Paul and all their standards were out the window, because although Paul isn't an Edgar Wright film, it still stars the same person, Sam Pegg. So, yeah, but as time has gone on, this film has grew a very loyal audience. This film is so incredibly funny. Maybe not as funny as the other two Cornetto films, but it is so funny. The cast is extraordinary, the pacing is immaculate, and I feel like this film gets better and better the more you grow up. It's a very sentimental film, and I think the best age to watch this is as a fully grown adult, past the teenage years. And I personally cannot wait to rewatch this when I'm older. I'm purposely not rewatching this as much as other Wright films, just so it like hits harder when I'm older. I'm looking forward to it. I'll also give it an A. In second place, it's pretty obvious. Oh yeah, second already? No, I just haven't written Scott Pilgrim in the script. Hold on. No, I think I can wing it. I watched Scott Pilgrim just yesterday, actually, in the cinemas. I caught a screening to it, and it was way better than I last remembered it, because it's been years since I've last watched it. I don't know if you can hear this, but I'm brushing my hair while I say this. I have a few new opinions about this film. I think it's one of the most well-edited films of all time, but I also think I've read all of the comics, but that is because of Edgar Wright. Mostly because of a line saying there's a guy in the background talking about how the film isn't as good as the comics. So I went out and read all the comics, this film is very, very comical. At some points, I wish it tied down the cartoonishness of it, because the choreography, the action, the whimsical parts of this film, if you may, sometimes it just gets a bit too much, and especially how this film came out right after Hot Fuzz, it's just a bit weird. The weird CGI and animation kind of throws me off a little bit. But I still love this film. I just wish they kind of tied down it's a bit too comic accurate. I might say it's a little bit too comic accurate. But it's not a complete adaptation, because the comic was not out yet. The end of the comic was not out yet by the time this film came out. So I think it has a different ending. I don't know, I still haven't finished the comics. I've just heard the ending is slightly different, or very different. Who knows? It has a fantastic soundtrack, has what really set the mood for the film, has a fantastic, amazing cast, incredible cast, and the behind the scenes just absolutely blows me away. Every time I watch a behind the scenes of any Edgar Wright film, I'm just baffled at how they pulled that off. The editing, like I said, the editing of this film is immaculate. It's just straight A tier, amazing film. And in second place, I think it's pretty obvious, Edgar Wright's theatrical debut, Shaun of the Dead. It's everything I adore about Hot Fuzz, but earlier, a DVD of it is even shown in the background of Hot Fuzz. Very, very easy S tier. It's like the best sleepover film. Uh, One of the most iconic horror comedy films, in my opinion. Amazing soundtrack, amazing cast, everything about this film is just amazing. And for my favorite. Oh wait, yeah. Wait, did I say S tier? I think so. And for my favorite Edgar Wright film, it is clearly Hot Fuzz, possibly my favorite film of all time. I know it pretty much off by heart.